I believe remasters are a complete waste of money and a shameless cash grab, and you should stop buying them. Let's talk about it. To clarify, I'm speaking just of remasters, not remakes. Remakes are great, they do their thing, they do a great job. And so I can state my case clearly, let's go through some examples. A remaster is an updated version of a game that maybe improves its performance, graphical fidelity, without changing anything of the core gameplay experience. Probably as well as audio, maybe mixing that up and making it sound a little bit better. But nothing about the story or gameplay is being altered at all. Some recent examples include the Horizon Zero Dawn game that came out in 2017. Quite honestly, is pretty beautiful for the time it came out of and doesn't really need to be remastered at this time. Warcraft 3 Reforged, we remember how that all went. The Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which we all know how that went too. The Silent Hill HD remaster, which apparently had some of the worst notoriety, had some lost source code, missing fog effects, and many audio issues involved too. And the Tales of Symphonia remaster, which I didn't know existed and makes me kind of sad because apparently it had a lot of frame rate issues and nothing really improved whatsoever. Remakes, on the other hand, take exactly what made the game great, which maybe is characters, story, gameplay mechanics, and fundamental build of the game, and change everything around it in a newer engine with newer code, with newer audio, maybe with new voice actors. Some excellent examples include Resident Evil 2 and 4, Final Fantasy 7, Black Mesa, Dead Space, which, man, that was a huge success. The reason why remakes, in my opinion, are so much better than taking a remaster, on the other hand, is because you're taking the best pieces of what made a game great. Maybe these few characters from this game were just so solid and well-rounded and everyone loved them, and you're just going to take those characters and bring them into the new game. Maybe the concept of being able to travel between worlds or the lightsaber battles in an older game just were so good but could be better done in a newer engine. And so you're taking all that and making the best out of it using newer tools and newer engines and newer mechanics rather than just upscaling it and making it a little bit better. When they remade Final Fantasy VII, it went from this to this. And everyone knows what made Final Fantasy VII great were the characters, the storytelling, and the environments that everything was told in. Well, now you're just taking all of that and putting it behind this beautiful backdrop of a game and holding it up with this live action gameplay, which was replacing the turn-based combat of the past. Now, I'm not bashing turn-based combat fans out there. I can say I love the turn-based combat in Final Fantasy X and Divinity Original Sin 2, but remaking the game allowed them to be a little more creative in this area, that's all. If you like the turn-based combat of Final Fantasy VII, the original still exists. You can still play that. But remasters, they have an opportunity to do the absolute worst.
The GTA Definitive Edition was one of the worst and most disappointing releases in Rockstar's history. On release, loyal fans paid $60 of their hard-earned cash for this.
Get yourself a beer or something.
Firstly, the price tag. Look at the damn price. The game costs more than your nan's life, for Christ's sake.
And here's the thing. They actually took down the original listing so they could sell this again at this price.
It was so bad that it was worse than the original releases. How is this?
And you know what? If this actually was remade or redone, completely new, I would buy it in a heartbeat. But I played the original versions of these games, and they're masterpieces. I don't need to play this remastered garbage.
And the so-called improved graphics were utter
And from what I understand, these were actually mobile ports. Yeah, so they took the mobile ports and turned it into this game, remastering it. That's why it turned out so trash and so many bugs are there. Some people were identifying some UI issues that was all present in the mobile ports. So now let's take a look at the Warcraft Reforged edition, shall we?
More advanced animation work and greater detail overall. Various proportions of things like limbs now appear more realistic, yet still retain the exaggerated armor features unique to the Warcraft series.
So what you're seeing is that they did take some time to make the textures and models a little bit better, and even the environments to make things just a little bit nicer. It did actually take some time doing that. But again, they took down the original game and charged $30 for this.
With criticism being focused on a number of factors, including the poor technical state the game had launched in, its cumbersome UI, the fact that many features that Blizzard had promised before launch were missing, like updated cutscenes and re-recorded voiceovers, and the fact that even some key features from the original game were missing, like clans and the ladder.
So what you're doing is you're taking a nice filter and putting on things to make it look a little bit better, but you're removing core features and things that you did in the original game and ripping them out and then failing on the promises you made for the remaster you were going to do. But they don't do it for the love of the game. They do it for money, just like most people. If they actually took this entire game, Warcraft 3, and remade it into an entirely new engine, entirely new look, I'm sure that thing would sell like crazy. Seriously. Be a large and huge success. A lot of the time they're slightly increasing the quality of the content, basically using an AI upscaler to make the edges look a little more crisp, a little more polygons. Maybe they're replacing or making the textures look a little bit neater, but that's about it. They're keeping the older engine, the older gameplay, and the older style that was made for different equipment, different monitor types back in the day. And if you didn't know, actually a lot of games look better on CRTVs because they were designed for CRTVs. That's actually something you should look up. But what I want everyone to know is just how soulless these can be. They suck the life out of these once amazing games that frankly you could run on some emulators for free. And they try to charge $1 or $2 or an upgrade fee or a next gen fee, all for the sake of 6 months of development time and a little bit of lazy work. So stop buying remasters. Vote with your wallet. You aren't getting much more out of the game than you already had back when you played it. You can also easily upscale a lot of old retro games using the emulators we have today. It's really that easy and it's usually free. And maybe the textures look slightly better, okay? But don't you think that's sometimes taking some of the creativity that the developer put in when they first made that game? They're just replacing the work that they put in and all that hard effort for that generation only to slap a new seal on it and send it back out the door with a new price tag. Let's not taint the artwork that someone put all that hard work into in the original of their game, just for the sake of someone else's profit and for people to experience it maybe in a high resolution, when really the original is still there. If you want to make it better, remake it. Remake the game from the ground up. Make it better. Take the best of that work and make something new of it, not something that's the same. And what's worse about remasters is that sometimes they take the original game listing that's available on their storefront and they replace it with the new version. And a lot of the times that can go completely haywire, especially in situations like Warcraft 3 Reforged. We all know that there's lots of people doing mods, lots of people have lots of cool game modes on the original version of that, and people still could play competitively, and they yanked it away and threw in this crappy remaster. It just gave them an excuse to rip away someone's right to a game that they owned and replace it with their own crappy pay model now that you have to get a whole new license for. It's absolutely a disgrace and it's ruined tons of great old retro games. But let's all vote with our wallets. Let's come together as a community and tell the world the only remaster we all really want is Bloodborne. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.